What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Alright, so before I get into this video, I want to give a shout out to the brother Trey Wardlaw for the $10 donation via the PayPal. And I saw your note about today's players probably making a little bit too much money. I know you make a note about the money is great. It's good that these players have these opportunities to make all this money, but it probably does something to kill their motivation, and a lot of them to be great, or to play hard, to be better than, or to maximize their potential. So I do agree with that. So much respect to him for showing love to the channel. So I had a request as to, ever since Mike Budenholzer has been fired, who I thought would be the best candidates for the Milwaukee Bucks vacant head coaching position. And from what I could tell, there are three main favorite candidates, and I guess maybe a couple of dark horses or outside candidates. But to me, it seems like the leading candidate to replace Mike Budenholzer is one of his assistants, and his name is Charles Lee. Charles Lee has been with the organization since 2018, and he's probably the most popular choice, and so far the early favorite to land a job. And of course, he's been very loyal to the organization. And he's been in the NBA as an assistant since 2014, when he was under Mike Budenholzer as an assistant coach, back when Mike was with the Atlanta Hawks. So he's familiar with Mike's schemes. And, while that could be a good thing, knowing Mike's propensity to be stubborn, you hope that he doesn't share too much with Mike Budenholzer. As a consequence of doing this video too, I just want to put this out there. I've noticed a lot of people seemingly in these articles that I'm reading about Budenholzer being fired, they don't seem to understand why he was fired. They'll say the guy won a championship, so why was he fired? But I don't see them saying it about Nick Nurse. He won a championship. I don't see them saying it about Frank Vogel. He won a championship. Dwayne Casey was fired, the year after he won Coach of the Year? It was either the year after or immediately after winning head coach of the year. So so it happens, and if you're a Milwaukee Bucks fan, you know exactly why Mike Budenholzer was fired. If you watch that series, you know why. If you know the criticisms from Bucks fans for Mike over the years, you know why he was fired. So I would say Charles Lee is the leading candidate. Another candidate, of course, is Nick Nurse. Okay, now Nick Nurse, of course, recently was the head coach of the Toronto Raptors. I just mentioned he was fired. He's considered more of since he won a championship, maybe some people may feel like, well, do you want to test with an unproven rookie head coach, or should we go with a guy that's used to being in the playoffs, used to being in later rounds, has been to an NBA Finals, and maybe could potentially win a championship? But at the same time, with Nick Nurse, this is a guy that was pretty much fired because of the fact that he was on the outs already with players that he had played that had been playing with him for a few years now with Toronto. Then another thing is that he's a coach like a Tom Thibodeau that believes in shorter rotations, from what I've read and have heard from people. Do you really want that? Because that's one of the problems with Mike Budenholzer during this postseason, that he wouldn't play certain guys. So I don't know if he's the right candidate or not. Then, of course, you have Sam Cassell. Sam Cassell, a former NBA player, very good player. Spent a couple of years playing with Milwaukee back in the early 2000s. He's been an assistant coach since goddamn the prehistoric age. And, maybe some people feel like it's his time. He's been an assistant for so damn long. It's his time to get a shot at the head coaching position. I don't have a problem with Sam Cassell. I like Sam Cassell. I think he's a good basketball mind. He's a bit of a protege of Doc Rivers. And I think he's been an assistant since Doc Rivers was with the Clippers. I think something along those lines. I'm trying to remember when he became an assistant coach. Was it before Doc Rivers went to the Clippers or around that time? Well, anyway, he's been an assistant for over a decade. So, I think that's a good candidate as well. Are there other people? Yeah, there was some rumors that Tyronn Lue may have been out on his way out with the Clippers, but I don't know if that's really the case anymore. I guess you could consider Nate McMillan, but I don't know if they will be interested in him. So there could be some of those lower tier dudes, Kenny Atkinsons. I don't think they're the answer, though. I really don't think they're the answer. There's really honestly, to me, there's no juggernaut personality that sticks out there. But then sometimes you don't need that. I guess you also have Frank Vogel. Lord, no, please, no Steve Nash. Man, if they hire Steve Nash, man, I think Bucks fans are going to revolt. They're going to revolt. They're going to do something that, it's going to be like the Grand Insurrection Part 2, but in sports. Okay? No Steve Nash. But, to me, those are the candidates. Now, who gets it? I don't know. I would think the heir apparent is Charles Lee. Go with what you know. Maybe he can, provide or use some of the great things that Mike Budenholzer provides. Because, like my brother 78 says, Mike is a great regular season head coach. It's just in the postseason, he doesn't make adjustments. And the playoffs is all about making adjustments. So that's the one area that he struggles. Maybe, Mike Lee will improve upon that. So maybe, Charles Lee. So maybe with Charles Lee, I'm thinking about the NBA player Mike Lee. So maybe with Charles Lee, maybe he gives you the best of both worlds when it comes to that. So I'm thinking Charles Lee might be favored to be hired, but you never know. But anyway, tell me what you guys think.